champagne. I discarded my backpack on the shore and stripped down to my swimwear on the way back to my scooter. Picked a peaceful area far from any nearby people and dove headfirst into the ocean. I barely registered the September wind as I swam in awe of the Greek islands' breathtaking scenery. At some point, I saw another swimmer, a young man who easily outswam me. He swam ahead and then stood in front of me, watching as I treaded water. I turned around to face the shore again and noticed the woman who had been sitting there all afternoon, staring at us. After what seemed like an eternity, I realized that the wind had picked up and I had gone too far from the coast due to my swimming efforts. As I peered down, I noticed that the water was considerably deeper than I had anticipated. When I realized I had crossed a line, terror struck. It was as if the woman was watching the young man and I were both being watched. As I began to plummet, I worried that this was it, but at that very moment, I peered upward and beheld a celestial vision. A halo of white light, relatives holding out arms of welcome, and angels shouting their praises. I felt like they were hoisting me up in the euphoria of the love that engulfed me. But suddenly, a couple of pictures appeared in my head. One vivid image was of my daughter, knees up in a heap, sobbing when she learned of my death. Another was the startled expression on my wife's face when she heard the news. Finally, I had an epiphany about how bad it would make me feel in heaven if the young man who was trying to help me died while trying. I ignored the celestial image and continued swimming with renewed vigor, propelled by an unseen force. A voice in my mind encouraged me to keep going. With strong kicks, I kicked out the wind and swam against it. I looked over my shoulder and was relieved to see the young man beginning to swim after me, so I knew he would be all right. I was able to hear the young man chatting with the woman who was pointing at me as I walked slowly up the beach. Chose to disregard their presence, gathered all of my possessions, and returned to the scooter. Riding my bike back into town, I made it to the hotel in time to regroup and think about what had happened. I made up my mind to depart the island the following day and take an earlier flight back home. The thought of relaxing on a Greek beach had lost all of its allure. All I wanted was to be with my gal pals. I had 3 near-death experiences, NDEs. The first one was after I was strangled unconscious in a violent assault when I was a kid. Second, I wanted to say farewell to my family before returning from my ethereal experience, which took place during an emergency hospital visit. I saw a heavenly encounter and separated from my body. While each of these ethereal encounters is unique, they always share a dazzling white light, a kaleidoscope of colorful hues, and unusual music made by vibrations at very high frequencies. The pearlescent white light, which is like a million-fold magnified version of all the stars, gives forth a powerful radiance, perceived by the spiritual senses. This radiance represents unconditional love resonating at a higher frequency than Earth. The unusual melody, which is the product of celestial bodies meditating and being one with the Lord, has a spiritual quality that makes it sound like music. A frequency of unconditional love, which reflects the white light, permeates all things and people. When it comes to embracing people based on their spiritual connections, loved ones play an important role. These connections, which are important for everyone's development in this life, take on added significance in the spiritual world. Except when they're physically present on Earth, mothers usually play a significant role in welcoming guests. After being warmly welcomed by a woman in my childhood NDE, a well-dressed guy eventually took charge and led me on a tour of heaven, where I received feedback on my life thus far and glimpses into what was to come. I have no idea who they are. Without a doubt, my parents and other relatives were there to greet me in my most recent near-death experience, NDE, in Greece, hailing me from the Aegean Sea. A different life review, highlighting the importance of each family member. father, mother, sister, aunt, uncle, etc., would have been written if I hadn't swum back to shore. Although many people use the term tunnel, it does not actually exist until someone dies quickly. Then, after passing through a white tunnel, one quickly reaches an even brighter white light, which is our Lord. When you get to the heavenly gate, which is more of an opening metaphor, it's clear that whatever came up with this description probably experienced a short near-death experience. There is a chance to meet the white tunnel more slowly if one is dying more slowly, though. As you gently drift away, the classic white light gives way to the shimmering rainbow of colors. Suddenly, the passageway may transform into an ornate staircase, like in Gone with the Wind. On each step of this apparently endless stairway, loved ones are displayed, encouraging connections and understanding. A relentless force leads you on a trip as you rise, engulfed in the Lord's white light. The souls you meet are a reflection of the difference you made on earth. They may express their appreciation or offer you assistance. You are the embodiment of love, and an air of gratitude and love fills the room. All living things create vibrations of greater energy, and this is what the heavenly music is trying to capture. As it circulates through your body, it acts as a healing force for everything. You become more conscious of the fact that you are leaving your physical life behind as you climb, and the decision to keep going or stop becomes clear. The seeming stairway may represent a more leisurely death, pointing to the way to paradise, with the possibility of rebirth at a later time, maybe days, weeks, or months, ascending to an upper stairway closer to paradise. I was in a position where I could have continued, but I let my fears stop me. I was most terrified of dying and losing all bodily feelings, especially the capacity to embrace my loved ones, a gesture I treasure, and the finality of death itself. Seeing the relief on their faces and being able to help them would be out of my reach. Even while the other side was doing essential work through the messages, I admit that staying was partly selfish of me. Try to justify my lack of romantic involvement, but I know that I was not completely acting in a selfless manner. At some point, I will know that the decision is no longer up to me, and then I will run up the stairs or through the tunnel. Until then, I intend to improve my love skills while mentally and physically preparing for the day when I have no choice but to love. Upon my return, I possess a deeper comprehension of what I now refer to as the human condition. Because of this issue, the internet is more skewed toward pornography and gambling than toward charitable causes. Due to our innate frailty as human beings, it causes us to opt for a glass of wine instead of a cup of green tea. Despite having a glimpse of the heavenly side through near-death experiences, it is still beyond our human ability to achieve the perfection that we experience there. We are unable to fully appreciate heavenly things due to the constraints imposed by our physical and mental bodies. Because we are all fallible, it seems impossible to overcome temptations, and it's just as impossible to attain a perfect love and overcome fear. Returning to earth after seeing life on the other side, we still struggle to reconcile the heavenly world's magnificence with our own limitations in creating anything close to it. The level of frustration caused by this struggle is nearly overwhelming. As an example, my then 10-year-old daughter once told me that loving other people deeply and entirely was her key to heaven. Unfortunately, this noble endeavor is frequently hindered by the human condition and its fear-based emotions, such as hatred, envy, and jealousy. Life is full of surprises, and as I get older and more calm, accepting and loving, I sometimes think about someone to hate, hoping to buy more time with my wife and daughter, who are seniors in high school. Finally, the theme that keeps coming up is that love is at the core of everything. The power of love can conquer any obstacle on this planet. Our purpose in life is to love our way through good times and bad, even though we rely on anxieties at first. Although it may seem daunting and even impossible, the majority of us are capable of going above and beyond to create a more compassionate world. Just picture a world where 7 billion individuals actively work to overcome their concerns and embrace innovative forms of love. Imagine a world where people reject bullying, treat the lives of others with the same respect they give to their own, and prioritize loving reactions above power. But the fact that humans have free will means that they can give in to temptations, which keeps people being human. So ends our contemplation for the day. Put your 2 cents in the comment section. Until we meet again.